Hi guys, this is the second part how to choose master bus limiter or maximizers in mastering. We already covered how limiters work in the other video. You can find the link to the first video in the first pinned comment to this video and in the description box. So we already talked about why you need master bus limiter. We already talked about how master limiter works. I explained what is residual compression, what's the problem of different limiters. I already showed you a couple of examples in that video. I'm gonna list disadvantages of master bus limiter to just really give you a list of things you should avoid in master bus limiters. And I'm gonna show you over here, as you can see on the right side, I have up to 8 different, the most known master bus limiters. So sometimes I'm gonna mention one disadvantage and I'm gonna compare a couple of plugins to really give you an idea how you consider this disadvantage. I remind you that these videos are just additional entertaining stuff to one of the most advanced audio production and mixing course. It's in Skype 9 months, and if you want really serious education on audio production and mixing, mastering, you can attend for free one trial class. Send me an email if you're interested, email on the screen and in the end of this video. And in description box, this course has even homework check-in, and in real time I show you how to improve your mixes, and we even compare your mixes to the top sounding mixes of all time. First of all, don't listen to anybody, don't listen to any commercials, all these kind of legendary devices. We emulate it in the best way, 100% copy of some legendary tool from the most known mastering engineers. The only way how you choose master bus limiter, knowing disadvantages of those master bus limiters. You really should listen to results with your own ear, and real audio engineering is not just like hype. You know, it's all about your own understanding and skills and what's really suitable. First disadvantage, obviously, is you lose dynamics of your music. Obviously, it's a disadvantage, but sometimes you really cannot do anything with that. At least you can minimize compression which limiter adds to your music by shortening release time. Also, because of limiters and very compressed and pushed volume, sometimes you have ear fatigue pretty quickly. If you listen to music from 60s, 70s, you can listen to an album from the beginning to the end and with no ear fatigue. Some modern production really kind of sounds great during like first minute you play it and it's so powerful instantly, so catchy. You say, oh my god, it sounds amazing. But after like 3-4 minutes, after 2-5 songs, it sounds already kind of a bit difficult to listen to. You know, you start to be tired. Again, nobody forces you to do it. You can find some middle ground between volume boost and like still preserving dynamics. So definitely I understand sometimes you have no choice. Now we're gonna talk about the most important disadvantages of master limiters. First of all, what I recommend you to check if your master limiter preserves punch of drums. In modern music, the most loud peaks transients in a kick and a snare drum. It can be toms as well, it can be some other percussion, but anyway, mostly it comes from kick and snare. So peaks of these two sounds the most loud, and they will be affected by your limiter first of all. Some limiters can handle it, and some limiters cannot. And let me show you an example. I'm gonna play other song. It's just song for fun. I exactly recorded and written this song exactly for these sort of videos. It's just for fun, it has even funny lyrics.
Waves, UAD, what you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin. How many decibels to allow myself? Seriously, lyrics came out, not to laugh about. Waves, UAD, what you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin. How many decibels to allow myself? Seriously, lyrics came out, not to laugh about.
For example, now you heard Softube Weiss MM-1. It's very good for preserving punch. All these things on each plugin I teach on the course. In every topic of this course, we learn each possible plugin with all explanation of each plugin. So we learn like fundamentals, then you learn like advanced stuff. Even if you're beginner, you totally understand everything. You always can ask questions if you didn't get something. And then I'm showing you all possible plugins with advantages, disadvantages. We learn all possible classic equalizers, digital equalizers, compressors, de-essers, multiband processors, analog bus emulations, enhancers, reverbs, delays. So you name it, so all possible processors in audio engineering we learn, including all these limiters. Let's compare right now quickly, let's say L2 limiter versus Weiss. So this is L2, I set up them very similar, as close as possible. So L2 and Weiss. L2 will kill kick and snare.
Waves, UAD, what you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin. Waves, UAD, what you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin. Waves, you ready? What you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin.
In L2, kick and snare sounds too smoothed out, you know, it sounds more like compressed. Kick and snare triggers compression for other instruments at the same time, so everything starts to be a bit more like washed out. So definitely L2, it's not a limiter for preserving punch. L2 has its own advantages like smoothness, fatness, it's really round sounding limiter, but if you want punch, if you want to preserve those punchy drums what people mixed, as a mastering engineer, you really have to find a limiter which preserves punch in your sound. And definitely Weiss MM-1 for Softube can be one of those. Let me show you, let's say, Izotope Ozone. I actually have only old Izotope Ozone, which is Izotope Ozone 4. Now it's already Izotope 8, but I still use Izotope 4, it's fine for me, you know. So in this case, this limiter has different algorithms. If you use soft algorithm, is the worst algorithm of this plugin because it doesn't protect you from clipping. I play it,
Waves, you ready?
and instantly on the master bus you can see a red alarm, it says 3.2, so I really jumped higher than digital 0 by 3 dB. So never use soft limiter, it's not for these purposes. Brick wall limiter is for purposes of mastering, but brick wall limiter really sucks in this plugin, to be totally honest. So don't use it at all, awful.
Waves, you ready? What you doing?
Notice all this overcompression, really floating dynamics and very quiet music.
Waves, you ready? What you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin.
It's overcompressed, squashed, you don't even hear instruments with the same volume, they kind of go up and down randomly. The shortest over here is 10 milliseconds, but it still will not be okay. Let's compare it versus Weiss from Softube.
Waves, you ready? What you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin. Waves, you ready? What you doing? My mixes are not for you to...
You don't hear kick, you don't hear snare, it's totally smoothed out, it doesn't sound right at all, it's the worst option here. But actually Izotope Ozone has nice algorithms called Intelligent and Intelligent 2. Intelligent 2 sounds just a bit more certain, a bit more clicky, punchy, so definitely it sounds right. And with the character parameter, basically you set up this kind of release time. When you choose very slow, it means
Waves, you ready? What you doing? My mixes are not...
You have overcompression, even gain reduction meters start to show a lot of suppression, like 9 decibels of suppression. It's a bit too much for master limiter. You can go with clipping character or very fast, it's like to get the maximum volume efficiency, but your sound can be a bit harsh.
Waves, you ready? What you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin.
Punchy, now it preserves kick and snare, but it sounds a bit too... Probably the best setting here is fast and loud, I mean for this particular song. You know, mastering engineer is not a guy of presets. Mastering engineer listen to each song, and so that's why in this particular song it's a fast and loud.
Waves, you ready? What you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin.
By the way, other 10 seconds on my course. So on my course we have homework check-in. I open your projects in real time and we compare your projects to top sounding mixes of all time, and I improve your mixes, showing what to do, how I think, how I make decisions, what's wrong. In this case you can see exactly reactions and you learn how to listen to, you learn philosophy and approaches in mixing, but not just like feedback, your mix is good or your mix is bad, but I really show you details about your mix and how to work with that. So doing it for 6 years, I already have so much experience in really checking your homeworks. It's really standardized process, and you see not only your own project but projects of students from your group, so it's not like just one experience with some specific situation in your mix, but you see other mixes and you absorb 7-8 times more situations than it could be if you learn just one-on-one. So learning in groups is a super huge benefit from this course. Don't forget, you can attend one trial class to check it out. Plugins like FabFilter Pro L2 and plugins like T-Rex, Brick Wall Limiter, they have attack parameter. If you have long attack, it doesn't mean you don't affect on peaks. Actually, you affect it with the other side of this plugin, using Brick Wall Limiter, and typical limiters start to affect like later. If you're gonna make attack very short, where this kind of soft limiter will be engaged, you instantly gonna have like overcompressed signal and kick and snare will be like smoothed out too much.
Waves, you ready? What you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin.
So you hear this so-called pumping effect, where limiter is like really squeezing peak, then it's releasing, it's broken, it's like like this, you know, so it's definitely not what you need. You use attack to really give these kind of initial punches of drums to go through the brick wall limiter, and only after this period of time called attack, really that soft limiter starts to work in this plugin. So you have these plugins over here, as you see, T-Rex, let's say, brick wall limiter works exactly the same from IK Multimedia. You also have this attack parameter, so if you want to have like more soft clipping stage, you increase attack, you allow brick wall limiter to work almost like soft clipping effect. Release time can bring dirt to the surface of your music, you know, it can bring some dirt, it can be some saturation, which was at the quieter level. Now the saturation go up in volume because of a limiter, so you can have like dirty sound. So make sure your limiter sounds clean enough, where your mix doesn't sound like overcolored, you know, because people who mix this song, they already created some specific tones, some specific timbres in different instruments. They really don't want to hear something. If they created bad mix, you start to work as a mastering engineer who improves mixes. It's fine in this case, but if you work with perfect mix, make sure you don't put too much additional saturation to this mix. The clearer your limiter works, the better, so consider dirtiness. Next disadvantage is a volume difference, rebalancing, right? So as you've seen, I'll show you, let's say, what Izotope Ozone can do. It can rebalance volume of instruments totally. L2 can drop volume of kick and snare down, but vocal will be more or less the same. You know, vocal will be dropped only in the moment where kick hits and snare hits. When kick doesn't do anything and snare doesn't do anything, your vocal will be kept in volume, in original volume. So it will be felt like vocal now louder than the kick and snare. So you kind of rebalance the mix, and people will say, oh my god, what's going on? Our vocal was under drums, but now our vocal above drums. So you should make sure your limiter doesn't change volume balance too much. The purpose of master limiter not to change your mix. Master limiter is just to boost volume. You have much more effective tools to improve something. If something wrong with the balance, with frequencies, you want to compress something, you can use multi-band compressors, you can use dynamic equalizers, you can use mid-side equalization. Those tools much more effective to fix some problems in a bad sounding mix than some master limiter. So never use master limiter to change something in a mix. It's much easier to fix problems with other tools, and master limiter should be perfect, tight and nice and clean, like volume boost only. It's just really good approach in mastering. Some limiters can change frequency balance of your mix. Some limiters just tend to be, let's say, a bit thinner sounding. They can I call it eating low frequencies. They can eat a bit of low frequencies. Sometimes you don't even notice it. After a while you start to feel like why your mixes always sounds a bit like thinner than mixes you compare to your mixes, you know. So your reference tracks usually sound much fatter and rounder than your mix. And I explain on the course which limiters make it thinner. I show you examples. Some plugins can exaggerate, let's say, a bit high frequencies. Today I showed you with limiter, which kind of could be looking like, I mean, it's like the best. In many times it kind of appeared better than some other limiters, right? But actually even this limiter has disadvantages. This limiter, for example, is known for boosting a bit of like cymbals and hi-hats. If your hi-hats and cymbals a bit harsh, if they have some problems with noise, all this noise can be on the surface using Weiss MM-1.
What you doing?
You don't want more hi-hat brightness sometimes, you know, so you should be very careful with this disadvantage as well. So master limiter sometimes can affect on the feel how much you lose the quietest part of your mix. So basically reverb tails, reverb sounds of like ambience in your mix sometimes can be masked by too exaggerated front-end sounding instruments, and that's why sometimes you lose kind of a feel of ambience in your mix. Your master limiters, due to incorrect behavior of release, sometimes can cause overdrive and overcompression, when it sounds like squeezed, when it sounds more like squashed, and you start to get ear fatigue pretty quickly because of that. And last disadvantage, but not least, is latency. You know what, some plugins work with oversampling. So basically you have specific sample rate in your project, and plugin has internal sample rate boost. They increase your sample rate just to process your signal more detailed. Let's say over here on my list, Weiss MM-1 takes oversampling, so when I press play, it takes like half of a second to really start playing. Sometimes it's inconvenient, for example, if you have this limiter on the master bus during, let's say, recording process. Sometimes you know how, second way how you use master limiters, not only just to bring volume up. Sometimes you just don't boost any volume, you just keep one limiter on the output of your master bus to protect your mix from sudden clippings. Who knows, maybe suddenly you put some plugin with like plus 20 decibels boost, you play it and it's plus 20 on your converter, it goes through your monitor with all this crazy harshness, and it can hurt your ears. So that's why you kind of use limiter as a protecting tool. You don't move any threshold, any gain over there, you just keep everything at 0, and it protects your master bus. So in this case, you can play, let's say, in real time electric guitar, for example, and suddenly you have desynchronized sound from your DAW. So sometimes it's easier to have like more simplistic limiter to protect your master bus signal. So this course consists the fullest theory possible. We have more than 150 hours. When I designed this course, I wanted the course where people don't need to learn anything else after this course. I wanted something like the most full and the most fattest course ever, to allow people to become professional audio engineers just taking this course. Also, this course is really affordable, because for the same amount of money you can buy one average microphone or one average pair of monitors, but buying pretty any stuff of this kind doesn't guarantee that you're really gonna get top sounding results. This course guarantees top results, while buying some equipment or 3-4 plugins really doesn't guarantee anything. And you pay monthly, so it's very easy for you to make payments. And check how this course works on your own. Email on the screen.